Hello everyone, welcome back to Incredible Chess channel and today I'm here with one very nice and instructive chess classical game. Well, this game was played by Akiba Rubinstein against Bogoljubow. They both played a match against each other in Stockholm 1920 and this was one of their game, you can say. And in this game we are going to learn that how the pieces really work, like which pieces are good, which pieces are bad, what happens when we have opposite color bishops on the board but major pieces are also there on the board. So how to play in those kind of position, how to play with the rooks and everything. So this is going to be a very instructive game, so stay tuned with me till the end and enjoy this game, enjoy the analysis, and if you like it, do like the video, and if you are new on this channel, do subscribe to the channel. So let's begin. The game starts with d4. Akiba Rubinstein is white in this position, and in this game I mean to say, and black is Efim Pogoljubow. Both players were quite strong in that era. So now he played knight to f3, knight f6 and e3. Well, this is turning out to be a very famous opening called as the Cole system. Black plays c5, going for the center, attacking the center, you can say. White develops the piece with bishop to d3, and now knight c6 was played. Idea is to play knight b4 at some point and maybe attack the knight on d3 square. So Rubinstein in this position just ignores that threat and he just goes for the castle. Okay, because anyhow if you play knight b4, the bishop can fall back on e2 square. Here black plays d5. The point is black might be like trying to play c4 in future. So here Rubinstein says, like, I don't really want black to play c4, so I will play b3 in this position, controlling the c4 square. Fair enough. Another idea is also there that the bishop can come to b2 or a3 square and it will be very well placed on any one of these diagonals. So black plays bishop to d6 and now he plays bishop to b2, further controlling this diagonal, you can say, and also the e5 square, which is very important, because if you don't really control the e5 square, then black will play e5 himself and the position will be opened up, plus the bishop on c8 will also come in the game. For example, if I play knight d2 in this position, which is not that great, but if I play that move, then what will happen? Black might go for e5, which is a viable option in the position, and if you capture here after all these captures, which is a possibility, that bishop can go back and this bishop on c8 will be opened up. So that is one of the ideas in this position by which you can actually open up your bishop. So here white plays bishop to b2, controlling the e5 square, which is very important. You will also see in the game that in future e5 square turn out to be a very important square which needed to be controlled. So black in this position, Bogoljubow castles, and now Rubinstein develops his knight to d2 square. Okay, knight b4 was played, attacking the bishop, and he goes back to e2 square, because now we are going to play a3. The knight will be dislodged, and if it's needed from white side, we can definitely play bishop d3 and put the bishop on this diagonal once again. Okay, so black plays b6, a3 as per the plan which I was talking about. Knight goes behind, and now instead of rushing to play bishop to d3, in this position Rubinstein played a very interesting and solid move, I can say. You can pause the video, think about it, and tell me what do you think he might be playing. You can also tell me the things in the comment section. Also you can guess the moves there. So here white played knight to e5, centralizing the knight. We all know this thing, that knight belongs to the center of the board, so whenever it's possible for us, we should put it in the center of the board. Okay, fair enough. So now knight on c6 is under attack, so here he just goes back to e7 square, and now he places the bishop on d3 square. So white's pieces are kind of, you can say, aiming towards the king side attack. Okay, but it is not going to happen right now. Black is also quite solid, and there is no such weakness which will be exploited in this position, so you have to go slowly. So black plays bishop to b7. Now he brings his most powerful piece in the game via f3 square, queen f3. Now maybe the idea is to play queen h3, dislodge this knight from f6 square, and then queen captures h3 is going to be a check and mate. Okay, so black plays knight g6, covering this diagonal, but still here Rubinstein plays queen to h3, because if you capture by any chance, by mistake, then this will be losing the piece, so that's not that ideal for him. So he plays c captures d4, and now he plays knight captures g6, which was kind of tricky, I will say. Maybe he could have also played this move also, which was a possibility in the position, but he said like, okay, I want to capture the knight on g6, so he goes for the knight into g6, h captures g6, and now he plays e captures d4. Sorry, fair enough, I think so. And now there are multiple ideas in this position, so we'll see how the game progressed. Rook to c8 was played, and now he plays rook f e1, which is a very important thing. Before doing something, we need to understand that all our pieces needs to be the part of the game, and we need to bring each and every piece in the game. That's what we should try to do. So here black plays rook to c7. Maybe he's trying to double the rooks on the c file, we never know. So now Rubinstein says like, okay, my knight on d2 is not doing that great job, I need to bring it in the game. So he plays knight f3 in this situation. The point of knight f3 is like, if it's needed, we can definitely play knight to g5, and again the threats of queen h7. I know that knight on f6 is there, so don't worry, we might be dislodging that knight from f6 square also. And another idea is, as we did in the previous section also, you can say, that is knight e5, centralizing the knight. So black also centralizes his knight on e4 square. Rubinstein goes for knight to e5, and now black captures on e5, d captures e5, and then knight c5 was played. Fair enough. Here black is threatening to capture the bishop on d3, which will convert the game into opposite color bishop's endgame, you can say. But of course there are more pieces on the board. But here Rubinstein says like, okay, if you want to capture the bishop on d3, you are free to capture. I'm not going to save it just like that. I'll just play bishop to d4, so that this move is kind of important, okay? Because if black is on the move, he might not capture the bishop on d3. He will play d4 move. I know like the pawn will be captured, but even after giving up the pawn, the thing is that this bishop will be, sorry, not that diagonal, this bishop will be opened up on this diagonal, and queen d5 and all such threats are there, and black will be getting some very good compensation in the position, I must say. Okay, means not right now, means like if you play some random move, let's suppose I play a4 kind of move, then d4 will be played. I know d4 is not being captured right now, it is supported, but in future, even if you attack it or something, and if the pawn falls, still there is no issue. Black will be getting a lot of good activities in this position. The queen will be coming on d5 as I mentioned, and the pawn on g2 will be under attack. So here the most important thing is like, opponent's pieces should not be allowed to come in the game. They should be kind of cramped in the position. So that's why in this position he goes for bishop to bishop to d4 in this position. So after bishop comes on d4 square, black says like, okay, I'll play queen to d7, and now to dislodge the knight on c5 square, he goes for b4 move. Now the knight cannot really go back in this position, because wherever he tries to go back, everything is kind of covered. So he has to go forward. So he goes to knight e4 square. E4 square. Now it's time to bring our rook in the game. So from where will you bring the rook? Rook lift. Yes, that's what. Rook to e3 was played. The idea is like, maybe in future when the queen will be going forward, rook h3 and the checkmate threats will be there in this position. So black plays rook f8, making some room for the king to run away in this position, you can say. And now he brings the last piece in the game, rook a e1. So both sides have developed their pieces. Both sides are having their pieces on the side where they want. But in this position, as you can see, that black's rooks are not that much effective on the c file. I will tell you the reason. Reason is, white is controlling each and every entry point in this c file. So even though the rooks are on the c file, they are not that much effective. Okay, so here black plays bishop to c6, trying to maybe exchange this bishop, because this bishop is kind of blocked by his own pawns. That is also very important thing which we need to understand, that whenever we have such kind of pawn structure, we need to make sure that our bishop should not be locked in behind our pawn structure, because if the bishop is locked in behind the pawns, then it will be very difficult position for our bishop. It will not be coming in the game. So here now we want to build up the attack on the king side. So Rubinstein understand that thing, that his rook needs to come on the h file. So in order to bring the rook on h file, he brings like he plays queen g4 in this position. The point of queen g4 is like making some room for the rook to come on the h3 also, and once the rook on e3 will be moving, the even rook will also come in the game, and that will be very interesting position. So here black tries to exchange the bishop with bishop to b5, and he is hoping that maybe the bishops will be exchanged like this. But Rubinstein says like, okay, no, I don't want to do that thing. Your knight on e4 square is like a monster piece. I want to capture that piece. So he goes for bishop into e4, d captures e4, and now maybe you can say like, oh, I will get the pawn, but that will also give black the chance to capture the c2 pawn, and he will be black in the game. And as I was mentioning you earlier also, if bishop's diagonal is opened up, means once the we sacrifice the pawn, black will be very happy in the position. So here Rubinstein did not give any chance, he plays c3. Now it feels that the bishop on d4 is also a very bad piece. It is cramped by his own pawns and it will not be effective in the game. But and whereas black's light square bishop has more room in the position, you can say. But the problem is that black's light square bishop doesn't really have any target to attack. That is the problem. So white's rook on e3 will be moving towards the h file. The rook on e1 will also be coming in the game via rook e3. So rook lift is going to happen. So you might ask me what to do with the bishop on d4. Well, that bishop on d4 is also going to be a very crucial bishop in this game, because it can always be the part of the attack. I'll show you how it happened and everything. So first of all, after bishop to c6, we need to understand that we need to create some weakness in the position, because black literally doesn't really have any kind of weakness in the position. Because even if you try to come with rook h3 and queen h4, black will just run away on e7 square, and then what to do? Correct. And whenever you move the rook, the point is black is willing to sacrifice the pawn on e4 square by playing e3. So after that his bishop will be opened up and black will be getting quite good compensation after queen to d5, putting some pressure on g2. So we have to be careful. So the first things first, we need to create a weakness in black's camp. So how to create the weakness? By pawn storm. So here he started with h4 move. The whole idea of h4 is to just play h5 and disturb the king side. So here he plays queen to e8, and after queen e8 he plays queen f4. This is a preparatory move, I can say, because now h5 was definitely one of the options in the position. But after that what will happen is that black is ready with the capture on h5, queen captures h5, and the point of queen e8 was that he wants to play f5 move in this position. There is no time to go for the end pass, because your queen on h5 is under attack, and if you exchange the queens, of course it will lead to a equal position, because now the most powerful piece is gone from the board and you can't really do anything. And if the queen goes behind, let's suppose you play queen h4 or some other move, in that position we will just play bishop to d5, and if you play rook to h3 in this position trying to go there, as I mentioned earlier, queen g6 can come and king always have the escape square on f7 square. So black will be doing fine in this position according to me. Okay, so I hope that you have understood. So in order to not to get into the trouble after f5, he plays rook queen to f4 in this position. Okay, fair enough. Now bishop d5, and now finally he moves the rook to g3 square, putting some pressure on g file. Now the idea is to play h5. If this is captured, we can also play queen to f6, and black will be slightly in trouble, you can say, in that position. Okay, so now king h7 was played, and now before he plays h5 or something like that, he first of all brings his last piece in the game. He plays rook 1 e3, and after this black made a mistake. He should have holded on to the position on the king side. At least he should have tried like that. But in this position he plays queen a4, trying to activate the queen, and some checks are definitely possible in this position. So now d1 square check is coming. So white says like, okay, Rubinstein is like, I don't really want you to come inside my camp, so I will just stop it with queen g4 move, which is fair enough. Okay, this move is fair enough, but there was also one more option was there, that to play h5. You might say like, oh, check is coming and then you will be losing the h5 pawn, but the point is you cannot really capture the h5 pawn with the queen, because rook h3 will pin the queen. And if you earlier, if you capture g into h5 in this position, then we can play rook g5, again attacking the h5 pawn. And if you play g6 kind of a move, then we can play queen to f6. Now you will be saying, what is really happening in the position? Well, the point is now we want to play rook h3 and capture the h5 pawn. If this is captured, then queen g7 will lead to check and mate. Quite interesting, isn't it? And we have the option of playing bishop e3 also at some point in the position. So you might say like, okay, rook g8 will be played in order to control the g7 square, but we can still continue with rook h3. The point is, as queen g7 check is not available, we will also be going for rook h5, gh5 and rook h5, leading to check and mate. And if you try to run away with rook g7, still this check is quite powerful, because if you capture queen into g7, checkmate will be happening, and if you go behind in this position, then queen d8 will lead to a checkmate very soon, because if you play queen e8, queen into e8 is a check and mate. So I hope that you are understanding what are the options in this position, and heavy pieces are doing great job from white side, you can say, because black's king is very weak. Okay, so queen g4 was played, h5 was one of the possibilities in the position, and now he plays rook to h8, trying to get away with the king. The king is going to run away via g8 and f8. So now he finally plays uh, h5 in this position. Okay, so after h5, you can say, here king g8 was played, h captures g6, f captures g6. We don't really have the time to capture on g6, because that will lead to a checkmate after queen to d1 check. So here first of all we need to control the h file. So here Rubinstein plays rook h3. He's going very step by step. He's not in any kind of hurry, because he knows that he needs only one breakthrough on the king side and he will be winning the game. So here rook captures h3 was played, rook captures h3, and now e3. Finally he got the chance to move the pawn on e4 square, because that will free up the bishop on d5. Fair enough. So here Rubinstein says, okay, I don't really want to capture the e3 pawn, I'll just simply capture the pawn on g6, which he did. So after capturing the pawn on g6, there are several threats in the position. Means we can always try to give this check, we can try to give this check also. So the king is kind of weak, it is vulnerable. So he captures f2 was played, bishop captures f2, and now he gives the check, queen d1, king goes to h2 square, and now he plays rook to e7, stopping queen e8 check. Now any amateur player or something, they will definitely try to give a check, but Rubinstein is not one of them. Rubinstein knows this thing, that even if this check was given, we need to control the f file, so that the king will not be running via f7 to e8. So here he comes up with a very brilliant idea, because in this position we don't really have the liberty to play rook f3, because bishop is controlling the f3 square. So he tries to dislodge this bishop away, because now c4 was played. Okay, this is a very excellent move, I can say. If you capture on c4, then we can give a check on h7, king will come to f7 square. That is one of the thing. Or we also have, if this rook is not there on the board, then we can simply play bishop to h4. If you move the rook in anywhere, then we can give a queen e8 check, king will come here, and this position will lead to a simple checkmate via several moves. Bishop f6 is there. The point is just we are giving the discovered check, and the game will be over after rook into h5 check and mate. So the rook cannot really move, because this is there, and if you try to save the rook with queen to d7, we are simply exchange up in the position, and I think the resulting position should be winning for white very soon. So here after c4, the bishop did not capture the c4 pawn, he played bishop to c6. After bishop c6, he chases away the bishop with b5 move. Now the bishop, if you play bishop to b7, which is a possibility in this position, I must say, the point is now we will play bishop h4. This is one of the ideas. Or we can also play queen to h7 check, and if king h7 is played, we have rook f4 followed by rook h4, rook h4 also idea is there. So black needs to be quite careful, and we have rook g3 idea also, attacking the pawn on g7. According to me, black cannot really save everything. Even if you play king f8, we have queen h8 check here, and then we can simply capture rook into g7 leading to checkmate. So he did not save the bishop, he actually gave a counter threat with queen e2. Like the threat is like he is going to capture the bishop on f2. But Rubinstein says like, okay, if you want to capture it, because that will also lead to the game over, because after queen h7 check, king f7, rook f3 will win the queen in this position. So that was the game, I will say. In this game you must have understood some of the things, that what is really happening, like how the things are happening, how players play with the pieces, the major pieces, the minor pieces. Especially in this game, you saw that opposite color bishops, even though they were there on the board, it all depends upon whether you have the attack or not, whether your other pieces are playing or not. So with this note, we will be meeting very soon. I know today's video was little bit long, but I hope I was managed to explain the things quite well. So do like the video, and we'll be meeting very soon in the next video. Till that moment, take care and See you then.